Master of Deals, How to Win in Every Negotiation Mind, written and published by Audiobooks. Chapter 1. The Art of Preparation. Preparation is the secret ingredient to a successful negotiation. Imagine you're about to embark on a thrilling adventure. Would you set off without knowing your destination, packing your gear, or mapping out your route? Of course not. Negotiation is much the same. The more prepared you are, the better your chances of achieving a favorable outcome. Start by clearly defining your goals. What are you hoping to achieve from this negotiation? Are you aiming for a better price, a favorable contract, or maybe just a more amicable agreement? Knowing exactly what you want will help you stay focused and make strategic decisions throughout the process. Next, gather as much information as you can about the other party. Understanding their needs, preferences, and constraints will give you a significant advantage. This might involve researching their company, recent business deals, or even speaking with mutual contacts who can provide insights. The more you know, the better you can anticipate their arguments and tailor your approach accordingly. It's also essential to understand the context of the negotiation. Consider the broader situation, market trends, economic conditions, and any relevant news that might impact the discussion. Being aware of these factors can help you frame your arguments more effectively and address any concerns the other party might have. Don't forget to prepare your own arguments and evidence. Think about the strengths of your position and be ready to present them clearly and confidently. Prepare data, examples, and any other relevant information that supports your case. This not only helps you make a stronger case, but also shows that you are well informed and serious about the negotiation. Role-playing is another great way to prepare. Practice your negotiation with a friend or colleague who can play the role of the other party. This exercise helps you anticipate possible responses and refine your strategy. It also boosts your confidence, so you're less likely to be caught off guard during the actual negotiation. Finally, plan your negotiation strategy. Decide on your opening offer, your ideal outcome, and your minimum acceptable terms. Think about possible concessions you might be willing to make and identify your priorities. Having a clear strategy will help you stay on track and make it easier to adapt if the conversation takes unexpected turns. Chapter 2. Understanding your opponent. Understanding your opponent is like getting to know the rules of a game before you play. The better you know who you're up against, the more effectively you can navigate the negotiation and reach a successful outcome. Let's dive into how you can get to know your opponent and use that knowledge to your advantage. First, take the time to research your opponent thoroughly. This might involve looking into their background, their business, and their recent activities. If you're negotiating with a company, find out about their key players, their history, and their recent achievements or challenges. If it's an individual, learn about their career, interests, and any common connections you might share. This information can provide valuable insights into their motivations and priorities. Understanding what drives your opponent is crucial. People and organizations have different goals, values, and pressures that influence their decisions. By figuring out what matters most to them, you can tailor your approach to align with their interests. For instance, if you know that a company is focused on expanding into new markets, you can emphasize how your proposal supports their growth strategy. Another important aspect is to recognize their negotiation style. Some people are aggressive and straightforward, while others may be more reserved or indirect. Observing how they communicate and negotiate can give you clues about their tactics and how to respond effectively. If they're aggressive, you might need to stay calm and assertive. If they're more reserved, you may need to draw them out by asking thoughtful questions and encouraging open dialogue. Pay attention to their past negotiations and deals if possible. Look for patterns in how they approach negotiations and any common strategies they use. This can help you anticipate their moves and prepare your responses. For example, if they've consistently used low offers as a starting point in previous negotiations, be ready for that tactic and counter it with a well-prepared response. Understanding your opponent's constraints and limitations is also important. Everyone has something they need to work within, whether it's budget limits, time constraints, or company policies. If you can identify these constraints, you can tailor your proposals to work within those boundaries, making it easier for them to say yes. Building rapport with your opponent can also make a big difference. people are more likely to reach an agreement with someone they feel comfortable with and respect. Take the time to establish a positive relationship by finding common ground and showing genuine interest in their perspective. This can create a more collaborative atmosphere and help both sides work towards a mutually beneficial outcome. Lastly, be aware of their nonverbal cues. Body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice can reveal a lot about how someone feels during a negotiation. Pay attention to these signals as they can give you additional insights into their state of mind and help you gauge their reactions to different proposals. Chapter 3: Building Rapport and Trust. Building rapport and trust is like laying the foundation for a strong relationship. Just as you wouldn't build a house on shaky ground, you don't want to enter a negotiation without first establishing a solid connection with the other party. When people trust and relate to each other, negotiations become smoother and more productive. Let's explore how you can build that all-important rapport and trust. Start by showing genuine interest in the other person. People appreciate when others take an interest in them and their perspectives. Begin your interactions with small talk or by asking about their experiences and opinions. This doesn't mean you should pry into their personal lives, but asking about their recent projects, successes, or even how their day is going can help create a friendly atmosphere. When you show that you care about them as individuals, you lay the groundwork for a positive relationship. Another effective way to build rapport is through active listening. This means truly paying attention to what the other person is saying, rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. Nodding, making eye contact, and giving verbal affirmations like, "I see," or "that makes sense," show that you are engaged and respectful of their viewpoints. Reflecting on their points and asking follow-up questions also demonstrates that you are genuinely interested in understanding their needs and concerns. Finding common ground can be a powerful tool for building rapport. Shared interests or mutual connections can help bridge gaps and create a sense of camaraderie. If you discover that you both enjoy the same hobby, have worked in similar fields, or know the same people, use this common ground to strengthen your connection. It's easier to build trust when you have something in common to bond over. Be authentic and transparent in your interactions. People can often tell when someone is being insincere or trying to manipulate them. By being honest about your intentions and transparent in your communication, you show that you have nothing to hide. This honesty helps build trust and makes it easier for the other party to be open with you as well. Consistency in your actions and words is another crucial aspect of building trust. If you say one thing but do another, it can undermine your credibility and erode trust. Make sure that your actions align with your words and that you follow through on your promises. Reliability and integrity are key components of a trustworthy relationship. Also, be mindful of your body language. Nonverbal cues often speak louder than words. Maintaining an open posture, offering a genuine smile, and avoiding defensive gestures can help create a more welcoming environment. Positive body language reinforces the idea that you are approachable and sincere. Empathy plays a significant role in building rapport. Try to see things from the other person's perspective and understand their feelings and concerns. When you demonstrate empathy, you show that you value their emotions and are willing to work together to find solutions that benefit both parties. This can help strengthen the connection and make the negotiation process more collaborative. Lastly, respect their time and opinions. Being punctual and valuing the other person's time shows that you respect their schedule and are serious about the negotiation. Similarly, acknowledging their opinions and considering their viewpoints, even if they differ from your own, fosters mutual respect and trust. Chapter 4: Mastering the Opening Move. The opening move in a negotiation is like setting the stage for a play. It sets the tone, establishes your position, and can influence how the rest of the conversation unfolds. Getting it right is crucial, so let's explore how you can make a strong and effective opening move. Think of the opening move as your chance to make a great first impression. It's your opportunity to grab attention and set a positive tone for the negotiation. Start by clearly and confidently stating your main goal or proposal. This doesn't mean you need to dive straight into specifics, but it should give a clear idea of what you're aiming for. For example, if you're negotiating a business deal, you might start by outlining the key benefits of your proposal and how it aligns with the other party's goals. Timing is also important. You don't want to rush into your opening move without gauging the mood of the conversation or the readiness of the other party. Take a moment to read the room and choose the right moment to present your proposal. If you sense that the other party is open and receptive, you can make your move more assertively. If they seem cautious, you might want to ease into it more gently. It's also helpful to frame your opening move in a way that highlights mutual benefits. Rather than just focusing on what you want, emphasize how your proposal can also address the other party's needs or goals. For instance, if you're negotiating a partnership, start by discussing how the partnership can create value for both sides. This approach makes your proposal more appealing and shows that you're interested in a win-win outcome. Be prepared for questions and counter-arguments right from the start. An effective opening move isn't just about making your initial proposal, it's also about being ready to respond to immediate feedback. Anticipate potential concerns or objections and have well-thought-out responses prepared. This demonstrates that you've done your homework and are ready to engage in a meaningful dialogue. Confidence is key when making your opening move. Speak clearly and assertively, but avoid coming across as aggressive. Confidence helps to establish your credibility and shows that you believe in the value of your proposal. Remember, your goal is to make a strong impression, not to intimidate or alienate the other party. It's also important to be flexible. While you should start with a clear proposal, be open to adjusting your approach based on the reaction of the other party. If they have valid concerns or suggestions, be willing to listen and adapt. Flexibility shows that you're reasonable and committed to finding a solution that works for everyone involved. Starting the negotiation on a positive note can make a big difference. Use a friendly and respectful tone and express appreciation for the opportunity to negotiate. Building a positive atmosphere from the beginning helps to set a collaborative tone for the discussion and makes it easier to work through any challenges that arise. Lastly, practice your opening move. Like any skill, the more you practice, the better you get. Role-play with a friend or colleague to refine your approach and get comfortable with your delivery. This practice will help you feel more confident and prepared when it's time to make your real opening move. Chapter 5: Effective Communication Techniques. Effective communication is like the glue that holds a negotiation together. It's not just about talking. It's about making sure that your message is clear, understood, and well received. Good communication can bridge gaps, resolve misunderstandings, and help both parties find common ground. Let's dive into some techniques to help you communicate more effectively during negotiations. Start by being clear and concise. When you're negotiating, you want to make sure your points are easy to understand. Avoid using jargon or overly complex language that might confuse the other party. Instead, stick to simple, straightforward terms and explain your ideas clearly. For example, if you're proposing a new contract term, break it down into easy-to-follow steps rather than using legalese that might be hard to grasp. Listening is just as important as speaking in a negotiation. Active listening means fully concentrating on what the other party is saying, rather than just waiting for your turn to talk. Show that you're engaged by nodding, making eye contact, and giving verbal affirmations like, "I understand," or "That's a good point." This not only helps you grasp their perspective, but also shows respect for their views, which can foster a more positive atmosphere. Another key aspect of effective communication is asking open-ended questions. These are questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no and encourage a more detailed response. For example, instead of asking, "Do you agree with this proposal?" you might ask, "What are your thoughts on how this proposal will impact your goals?" Open-ended questions help you gain more insight into the other party's needs and concerns, making it easier to address them effectively. Be mindful of your tone and body language. How you say something can be just as important as what you say. A friendly and respectful tone helps create a positive atmosphere, while a harsh or aggressive tone can put the other party on the defensive. Your body language also communicates messages. Crossed arms might seem defensive, while an open posture signals openness and collaboration. Pay attention to these nonverbal cues and adjust them to reinforce your verbal messages. Summarizing and clarifying are powerful techniques to ensure that everyone is on the same page. After discussing a point or reaching an agreement, take a moment to summarize what's been said. This helps to confirm that both parties have the same understanding and prevents misunderstandings. For instance, you might say, "Just to confirm, we've agreed that the deadline will be moved to next month. Is that correct?" This simple step can prevent confusion and ensure smooth progress. Empathy plays a crucial role in communication. Try to understand the other party's feelings and perspectives. Acknowledge their concerns and validate their emotions. For example, if they express frustration, you might say, "I can see that this issue is really important to you. Let's work together to find a solution." Showing empathy helps build rapport and trust, making it easier to work towards a mutually beneficial outcome. Use positive reinforcement to encourage collaboration. Complimenting the other party on their ideas or acknowledging their contributions can foster a cooperative spirit. For instance, you might say, "I really appreciate your suggestion on this point. It's a great idea and could help us move forward." Positive reinforcement not only boosts morale but also creates a more constructive negotiation environment. Be prepared to adapt your communication style based on the situation and the person you're negotiating with. Different people respond to different styles. Some may prefer direct and to-the-point communication, while others might appreciate a more detailed and explanatory approach. Flexibility in your communication style helps you connect better with the other party and makes it easier to address their needs. Finally, stay calm and composed, even if the conversation becomes challenging. Maintaining your composure helps you think more clearly and respond more effectively. If you feel yourself getting frustrated, take a deep breath and refocus on the goals of the negotiation. Keeping a level head helps you communicate more effectively and keeps the discussion on track. Chapter 6: The Power of Listening. Listening might seem simple, but it's one of the most powerful tools you have in any negotiation. It's not just about hearing the words someone is saying, it's about truly understanding their message, emotions, and underlying needs. Mastering the art of listening can transform a negotiation, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for collaboration and problem solving. Let's explore how you can harness the power of listening to make your negotiations more successful. Imagine you're at a dinner party and someone is telling a story about their recent vacation. If you're genuinely interested, you listen closely, asking questions and showing enthusiasm. This kind of engagement isn't just polite, it helps you understand their experience and build a connection. The same principle applies in negotiations. When you listen with genuine interest, you gather valuable insights that can help shape a positive outcome. Start by giving your full attention. Put away distractions like your phone or computer and focus entirely on the speaker. This shows respect and signals that you value what they're saying. Active listening involves more than just nodding along. It means really absorbing the information, processing it, and responding thoughtfully. For instance, if the other party expresses concerns about a proposal, show that you understand by acknowledging their points and asking clarifying questions. Be mindful of your body language while listening. Maintain eye contact, lean slightly forward, and use nonverbal cues to show that you're engaged. These small gestures communicate that you are genuinely interested in what the other person has to say. Avoid interrupting or finishing their sentences for them, as this can come across as impatient or dismissive. Listening actively also means being able to reflect back what you've heard. This technique involves summarizing or paraphrasing the other person's points to confirm your understanding. For example, you might say, "So what I'm hearing is that you're concerned about the timeline of the project. Is that right?" This not only ensures that you've got the message correct, but also helps the other person feel heard and validated. Another important aspect of listening is picking up on underlying emotions and concerns. Sometimes, people might not directly state their worries but hint at them through their tone or body language. Pay attention to these cues to get a fuller picture of their perspective. If someone seems hesitant or anxious, you might gently probe to uncover the root of their feelings and address them directly. Empathy plays a crucial role in effective listening. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and understand their feelings and viewpoints. When you show empathy, you build a stronger connection and create a more collaborative atmosphere. For example, if someone is frustrated about a particular issue, acknowledging their frustration and showing that you understand can help ease tensions and open up a path to finding a solution. Listening also involves asking open-ended questions that encourage the other person to share more. Instead of asking questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no, try questions that prompt more detailed responses. For instance, asking, "Can you tell me more about what's driving your concerns?" invites them to elaborate and provide more context, which can be crucial for finding common ground. Be patient and resist the urge to rush the conversation. Good listening takes time and often involves allowing the other person to express themselves fully. By being patient, you show that you value their input and are committed to understanding their perspective. This patience can lead to more thoughtful and meaningful discussions. Chapter 7: Crafting Persuasive Arguments. Crafting persuasive arguments is like creating a well-made dish. You need the right ingredients, a thoughtful approach, and a touch of finesse. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, presenting a new idea, or trying to win someone over to your side, being able to make convincing arguments is a crucial skill. Let's explore how you can craft arguments that are both persuasive and effective. First, start with a clear and compelling main point. Your argument should have a central idea that you want to convey. This is your core message, the main thing you want the other person to understand and agree with. Make sure this main point is simple and direct. For example, if you're arguing for a new project budget, your main point might be that the increased budget will lead to better results and higher returns. Once you have your main point, back it up with solid evidence. This could include data, examples, or real-life experiences that support your argument. The more concrete and relevant your evidence, the stronger your argument will be. For instance, if you're suggesting a new marketing strategy, you might present case studies showing how similar strategies led to increased sales for other companies. The key is to provide evidence that is credible and directly related to your main point. Use logical reasoning to connect your evidence to your main point. This means explaining how your evidence supports your argument and why it's important. Avoid jumping to conclusions or making assumptions without backing them up. For example, if you argue that a new software tool will improve efficiency, explain how the tool works and provide specific examples of how it has helped other organizations streamline their processes. Clear reasoning helps make your argument more convincing and harder to refute. Appeal to the other person's interests and needs. Understand what's important to them and tailor your argument to address their concerns and goals. If you're negotiating a deal, highlight how your proposal will benefit the other party and align with their objectives. For example, if you know that your negotiation partner values sustainability, emphasize how your proposal includes eco-friendly practices. Showing that you've considered their perspective helps build a stronger case and makes your argument more relevant. Be aware of your audience's emotions and address them thoughtfully. While facts and logic are crucial, emotions play a significant role in decision-making. Use stories, anecdotes, or examples that evoke the right emotions and help illustrate your point. For example, if you're advocating for a new employee wellness program, share a story about how similar programs improved employee satisfaction and well-being at other companies. Connecting on an emotional level can make your argument more persuasive and memorable. Keep your arguments organized and easy to follow. Present your points in a logical sequence, with each point building on the previous one. Avoid overwhelming your audience with too much information at once. Break your argument into manageable chunks and use clear transitions to guide them through your reasoning. For instance, start with a brief overview of your main point, then provide supporting evidence, and conclude with a summary of why your argument is valid. Address potential objections proactively. Think about the possible counterarguments that the other person might raise and address them in your argument. This shows that you've considered different perspectives and strengthens your position. For example, if you're proposing a new policy that some might see as costly, acknowledge the cost concerns and provide evidence of the long-term benefits that outweigh the initial investment. By addressing objections head-on, you can build a more robust and convincing argument. Be clear and concise in your delivery. Avoid using jargon or overly complex language that might confuse your audience. Stick to simple, straightforward language and get to the point. The clearer and more concise your argument, the easier it will be for others to understand and be persuaded by it. If you find yourself getting bogged down in details, take a step back and refocus on your main message. Finally, practice and refine your arguments. The more you practice presenting your arguments, the more confident and effective you'll become. Role-play with a friend or colleague, or rehearse your argument in front of a mirror. Feedback and practice help you refine your approach and improve your persuasive skills. Chapter 8. Navigating Difficult Conversations. Difficult conversations are part of life, and handling them with skill can make a big difference in how well things turn out. Whether you're addressing a conflict at work, giving tough feedback, or discussing a sensitive issue, the way you approach these conversations can impact relationships and outcomes. Let's explore some strategies to help you navigate these tricky discussions with confidence and care. First, start by preparing yourself. Think about the main points you want to discuss and anticipate the other person's possible reactions. This preparation helps you stay focused and calm, even if the conversation becomes challenging. For example, if you need to address a performance issue with a colleague, outline specific examples of the issue and think about how you can frame the conversation constructively. It's important to approach the conversation with empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes and consider how they might feel about the situation. This doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but understanding their perspective can help you communicate more effectively and address their concerns. For instance, if you're discussing a missed deadline, recognize that the other person might be under a lot of pressure or facing challenges you're unaware of. Begin the conversation with a positive or neutral tone. Starting on a constructive note sets the stage for a more productive dialogue. Avoid diving straight into the issue. Instead, open with a friendly greeting or a compliment. For example, you might say, "I appreciate the hard work you've been putting in lately. I'd like to discuss a few concerns that have come up to see how we can address them together." This approach helps to ease tension and makes the other person more receptive. Use I statements to express your feelings and concerns without sounding accusatory. Phrases like, "I feel," or "I'm concerned," help you communicate your perspective without placing blame. For example, instead of saying, "You never meet deadlines," try, "I'm worried about how missed deadlines are affecting our project timeline." This way, you're sharing your feelings and focusing on the issue rather than making it personal. Active listening is crucial during difficult conversations. Show that you're engaged by nodding, making eye contact, and giving verbal affirmations. When the other person responds, listen carefully to what they're saying and reflect back their points to ensure you understand. For example, if they explain their side of the story, you might say, "I hear that you're feeling overwhelmed with your current workload. Let's talk about how we can find a solution together." Stay calm and composed, even if the conversation becomes heated. If you feel yourself getting frustrated or emotional, take a deep breath and refocus on the issue at hand. Keeping your cool helps you think more clearly and respond more effectively. If necessary, suggest taking a short break to cool down before continuing the discussion. Be open to feedback and willing to adjust your approach. Difficult conversations are often two-way dialogues, and the other person may have valuable insights or suggestions. Listen to their feedback with an open mind and be prepared to adapt your stance if needed. This shows that you're flexible and willing to work towards a mutually agreeable solution. Address conflicts directly but tactfully. If there's a disagreement or issue that needs resolving, tackle it head-on rather than avoiding it. Be honest about the problem, but frame it in a way that's constructive and solution-oriented. For example, instead of saying, "This project is a mess," you might say, "I've noticed several challenges with the project. Let's identify the issues and find ways to address them." Set clear goals for the conversation. Know what you want to achieve by the end of the discussion and communicate these goals clearly. For example, if you're negotiating a solution to a problem, outline the steps you hope to take and ask for the other person's input on how to move forward. Clear goals help keep the conversation focused and productive. Chapter 9. The Psychology of Negotiation. Understanding the psychology of negotiation is like having a secret map to navigate the twists and turns of any deal. It's not just about numbers and terms. It's also about the people involved and how they think and feel. By grasping the psychological aspects of negotiation, you can gain insights into what motivates others, anticipate their reactions, and tailor your approach for better outcomes. Let's dive into the fascinating world of negotiation psychology and see how it can enhance your negotiating skills. At the heart of negotiation psychology is the concept of perception. How people perceive a situation greatly influences their responses and decisions. For instance, if you're negotiating a salary increase, the way you frame your request can impact how the other party perceives your value. If you highlight your accomplishments and the benefits you bring to the company, they're more likely to see you as deserving of the raise. Perception shapes how we view offers, counteroffers, and concessions, so understanding this can help you present your case more effectively. Another key psychological factor is anchoring. This is the tendency for people to rely heavily on the first piece of information they receive when making decisions. In negotiations, the initial offer often serves as an anchor, influencing the rest of the discussion. For example, if you start with a high but reasonable offer, it can set a favorable tone for the negotiations. The other party will base their counteroffers on this anchor, which can work to your advantage if you start strong. Emotions play a significant role in negotiations, often more than we realize. People's feelings can impact their decision-making and how they respond to proposals. If emotions run high, it can cloud judgment and lead to impulsive decisions. To manage emotions effectively, stay calm and composed, and address any emotional concerns thoughtfully. Recognize that both you and the other party may have emotional stakes in the negotiation, and acknowledge these feelings to foster a more constructive dialogue. Reciprocity is another psychological principle that can be very powerful. It's the idea that people feel obliged to return a favor or concession. If you make a concession, the other party may feel compelled to reciprocate. For instance, if you agree to a minor concession, like adjusting a deadline, the other party might be more willing to meet your terms on another aspect of the deal. This mutual give and take can help build trust and move negotiations forward. Confidence is crucial in negotiations. When you present your proposals with confidence, it can influence how others perceive your position. However, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Being assertive without being overbearing shows that you believe in the value of your proposal while respecting the other party's perspective. Confidence can also affect how others respond to your offers and counteroffers, often leading to more favorable outcomes. Cognitive biases are mental shortcuts that can impact decision-making in negotiations. For example, the confirmation bias leads people to favor information that supports their existing beliefs. In negotiations, this might mean that once someone has formed an opinion about the value of an offer, they'll seek out information that confirms their view and ignore contrary evidence. Being aware of these biases can help you present your arguments in a way that challenges existing beliefs and opens up new perspectives. Trust and rapport are essential in any negotiation. When people trust each other and have a positive rapport, they're more likely to reach an agreement that benefits both sides. Building trust involves being honest, transparent, and respectful. Small gestures, like active listening and acknowledging the other person's needs, can go a long way in establishing a solid foundation for negotiations. When trust is present, negotiations tend to be more collaborative and less contentious. Power dynamics also play a role in negotiation psychology. Understanding the power balance between you and the other party can influence how you approach the negotiation. If you hold more power, you might feel more confident and assertive. Conversely, if the other party has more power, you might need to use different strategies to level the playing field. Recognizing these dynamics can help you adjust your approach and find ways to achieve a fair and balanced outcome. Framing is another psychological tool that can shape the outcome of negotiations. How you present information or proposals can influence how they're perceived. For example, framing an offer as a limited time opportunity can make it seem more appealing and urgent. Similarly, presenting a proposal in terms of gains rather than losses can affect how it's received. Effective framing helps guide the other party's perception and decision-making in your favor. Finally, persuasion techniques are deeply rooted in psychology and can enhance your negotiating effectiveness. Techniques like storytelling, appealing to emotions, and using social proof, such as examples of how others have benefited from similar agreements, can make your arguments more compelling. Persuasion is about aligning your proposals with the other party's values and interests, making it easier for them to see the benefits of agreeing with you. Chapter 10: Making Compromises and Concessions. Making compromises and concessions is like finding a middle path when two parties have different needs and desires. It's a crucial part of any negotiation, and knowing how to handle it well can lead to agreements that are fair and satisfying for everyone involved. In this chapter, we'll explore how to navigate the art of compromising and making concessions so you can turn negotiations into win-win situations. First, it's important to understand that compromise doesn't mean giving up entirely or settling for less. Instead, it's about finding a solution where both parties feel they've gained something and lost something, but not too much. Think of it as a balancing act where each side gives a little to get a little. For instance, if you're negotiating a project deadline, you might agree to a slightly extended timeline while offering additional resources to speed up the process. Both sides make adjustments to meet in the middle, resulting in a more feasible agreement. Before you start making concessions, it's crucial to know your priorities. Determine what aspects of the negotiation are most important to you and where you have flexibility. This will help you decide which concessions are worth making and which are non-negotiable. For example, if salary is your top priority in a job offer, you might be willing to compromise on benefits or start date, but not on the base salary itself. When proposing a compromise, be clear about what you're offering and what you expect in return. Effective communication is key. For instance, if you're willing to adjust a delivery schedule, clearly state the new timeline and ask what the other party can offer in exchange. This clarity helps prevent misunderstandings and ensures that both sides are on the same page. Be strategic with your concessions. Offer concessions that are valuable to the other party but relatively low cost or low impact for you. This way, you can make the other party feel like they're getting something significant while you retain more of what's important to you. For example, if you're negotiating a lease agreement, offering to cover maintenance costs might be more palatable for you than lowering the rent. It's also important to maintain a positive attitude during negotiations. Approach the conversation with a collaborative mindset rather than a confrontational one. Show that you're willing to work together to find a solution and express appreciation for the other party's flexibility. A positive attitude fosters goodwill and makes the negotiation process smoother. For instance, saying something like, "I appreciate your willingness to work with us on this. Let's find a way to make this work for both of us," can create a cooperative atmosphere. Be prepared for a series of back-and-forth exchanges. Negotiation is rarely a one-time event where everything is settled in a single discussion. It often involves multiple rounds of concessions and adjustments. Stay patient and be ready to negotiate further if necessary. Each round of concessions should move you closer to an agreement that satisfies both parties. Remember to keep a record of all concessions and agreements made. This helps ensure that both parties adhere to what has been agreed upon and reduces the risk of misunderstandings later on. A written summary of the key points agreed upon can serve as a reference and help clarify any confusion that might arise. For example, after a meeting, you might send an email summarizing the agreed-upon changes to the contract and next steps. It's also useful to consider the long-term impact of your concessions. While it's important to reach a satisfactory agreement in the short term, think about how the concessions might affect your future relationships and negotiations. Avoid making concessions that might set a precedent you're not comfortable with or that could undermine your position in future discussions. For instance, if you regularly concede on critical terms, it might become expected in future negotiations. Sometimes it's necessary to be firm on certain issues. If a concession would undermine your core objectives or values, it's okay to stand your ground. Communicate clearly why you can't make a particular concession and try to find alternative ways to meet the other party's needs without compromising your essential goals. This approach shows that you're serious about your priorities while still open to compromise in other areas. Lastly, be ready to walk away if the terms are not acceptable. While making concessions is important, it should not come at the cost of agreeing to something that is fundamentally unfair or detrimental. If the negotiation isn't heading in a direction that meets your minimum requirements, it's okay to respectfully withdraw and explore other options. Knowing when to walk away is a critical aspect of negotiation and can sometimes lead to better terms or alternatives. Chapter 11: Closing the Deal. Closing the deal is the exciting part where all your hard work and negotiation skills come together to finalize an agreement. It's like putting the finishing touches on a project and seeing it come to life. Getting to this point means you've navigated the complexities of negotiation, but it's crucial to handle the closing phase carefully to ensure everything goes smoothly. Let's walk through how to close a deal effectively and leave both parties feeling satisfied. First and foremost, make sure you've covered all the key points discussed during the negotiation. Before you move to close the deal, double-check that all terms and conditions have been agreed upon and that there are no outstanding issues. It's like making sure every piece of a puzzle fits perfectly before you declare it complete. Review the main points of the agreement with the other party to confirm that you're both on the same page. This helps avoid any last-minute surprises or misunderstandings. Once you've reviewed the agreement, it's time to confirm the agreement in writing. A written contract or agreement serves as a formal record of what has been agreed upon. It provides clarity and helps prevent future disputes. Make sure the document accurately reflects the terms you've discussed, including any concessions or compromises made. If there are any changes or additions, update the document accordingly. Everyone should have the opportunity to review and sign the final version to make it official. When it comes to finalizing the deal, clear communication is key. Be direct and straightforward about the next steps. If there are any procedural requirements, such as signing documents or making payments, make sure to outline these clearly. For example, you might say, "Now that we've agreed on the terms, we'll need to sign the contract by Friday and arrange for the initial payment. Once that's done, we can get started on the project." Clear instructions help ensure that both parties know exactly what to expect. It's also important to reaffirm the agreement's benefits to both parties. Remind everyone of the positive aspects of the deal and how it meets both sides' needs. This can reinforce the satisfaction with the agreement and ensure a positive outlook as you move forward. For example, you might say, "I'm glad we could come to this agreement. This will help us achieve our goals and strengthen our partnership. I'm looking forward to working together." If any final concerns or questions arise, address them promptly. Sometimes, even at the closing stage, minor issues can come up. Be responsive and flexible in resolving these last-minute details. If the other party has additional questions or needs clarification, provide clear and prompt answers. This shows that you're committed to ensuring a smooth conclusion to the negotiation. Celebrate the success of closing the deal. Acknowledge the effort and cooperation that went into reaching an agreement. A simple thank you or a congratulatory message can go a long way in building positive relationships. For instance, you might say, "Thank you for working through this with me. I'm excited about our partnership and appreciate your cooperation in reaching this agreement." Celebrating the successful conclusion helps reinforce goodwill and sets a positive tone for the future. After closing the deal, follow through on your commitments. Make sure to implement the terms of the agreement as promised. If you've agreed to specific actions or deliverables, ensure they are completed in a timely manner. For example, if you promise to provide a report by a certain date, make sure it's delivered as agreed. Following through on your commitments builds trust and credibility, reinforcing your reliability and professionalism. It's also a good idea to review the deal periodically to ensure everything is on track. Check in with the other party to confirm that both sides are satisfied with how things are progressing. Regular follow-ups can help address any issues that arise early and maintain a positive relationship. For instance, you might schedule a follow-up meeting a few months after closing the deal to review progress and discuss any adjustments needed. Chapter 12. Learning from every negotiation. Negotiations are not just about striking deals, they're also valuable opportunities to learn and grow. Every negotiation, whether it ends in success or a setback, offers lessons that can enhance your future negotiating skills. Embracing this mindset of continuous learning will help you become a more effective negotiator over time. Let's explore how you can turn each negotiation into a learning experience and use those insights to improve. After every negotiation, it's beneficial to reflect on the process. Take some time to think about how the negotiation went. What worked well? What didn't? Reflecting on these aspects helps you identify your strengths and areas for improvement. For instance, you might consider whether your preparation was thorough enough or if your communication could have been clearer. This reflection doesn't need to be overly formal. A simple mental review or a quick jotting down of thoughts can be very helpful. Seek feedback from others involved in the negotiation. If possible, ask for input from colleagues, mentors, or even the other party. Constructive feedback can provide valuable perspectives that you might not have considered. For example, you could ask, "What did you think of my approach to the negotiation? Is there anything you feel I could improve?" Feedback helps you see things from different angles and refine your techniques. It's also useful to review the outcome of the negotiation, analyze whether the results met your goals and expectations. If the outcome was not as favorable as you hoped, consider what factors contributed to this. Were there any missed opportunities or mistakes made? Understanding why a particular outcome was achieved can help you make better decisions in future negotiations. For instance, if you didn't achieve your desired terms, evaluate whether your negotiation strategy or approach needs adjustment. Identify patterns and trends from multiple negotiations. Over time, you may notice recurring themes or challenges. For example, you might find that you struggle with making effective compromises or that certain tactics work better with specific types of parties. Recognizing these patterns can help you address recurring issues and build on successful strategies. For instance, if you notice that building rapport consistently leads to better outcomes, you can focus more on relationship building in future negotiations. Keep a negotiation journal to document your experiences and insights. Write down key details about each negotiation, including what strategies you used, how the other party responded, and what you learned from the process. This journal serves as a valuable reference for future negotiations and helps track your progress over time. It doesn't have to be elaborate. A simple notebook or digital document can be effective. Stay updated on negotiation techniques and strategies. The field of negotiation is always evolving, with new research and practices emerging. Reading books, attending workshops, or participating in training can provide fresh ideas and approaches. Keeping up to date with the latest techniques ensures that your skills remain sharp and adaptable to changing circumstances. Celebrate your successes and recognize what contributed to them. If a negotiation went particularly well, take note of what factors led to that success. Did you use a specific technique or approach that worked exceptionally well? Understanding what made your successful negotiations work can help you replicate those strategies in the future. For example, if a particular framing technique helped you close a deal, make a note of it and consider how you can apply it to other situations. Equally important is to learn from failures and setbacks. If a negotiation didn't go as planned, it's easy to feel discouraged, but it's also an opportunity for growth. Analyze what went wrong and what you can do differently next time. Was there a misstep in your strategy or communication? Learning from these experiences can turn setbacks into stepping stones for improvement. Finally, apply what you've learned to future negotiations. Use the insights and techniques you've gained to refine your approach and enhance your skills. For example, if you've learned that preparation is crucial, ensure you invest adequate time in preparing for each negotiation. Applying your lessons learned helps you build on your experiences and become a more confident and effective negotiator.